Welcome everybody. Episode 33, Brad. The double, it seemed like we're just at 2-2. Now we're at 3-3 already, even though that seems like so long ago in our AI world we got going on here.
You could hardly remember 10 episodes ago what the technology was because the capabilities continue to change. It's one of the benefits of the latest is just taking time for ourselves to talk about what's new because it's new from when I went to bed. Like I went to bed last night looking for one specific thing, and then it happened overnight, and my chats from people on different time zones are like, "Oh my God, did you see the thing?" I was like, "I didn't. I stayed up late and I didn't get to see it." And that new thing would be Grok. Have you had a chance to look at it? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Totally. And all the Grok stuff I have not looked at. But like you said, it's just like, yesterday when we did the AI catch up, we went over Lovable. That's a Swedish-based company. So it's just like around the clock, there is stuff happening and going on. Right. And, right. I mean, just the different WhatsApp groups and everything else. And then it's just, you just got to absorb it when you can. I'm thinking of even scheduling in when I'm going to look at this stuff every day, put a half hour on my calendar or something, because you get too sidetracked if you're trying to work.
Yeah, it's very interesting how to schedule that, like you're saying, to think like I want to save my 4 hours a week, but do I spend five to save four? Um, let's have a look.
Right.
Let's have a look here.
And can agents be set up to track some of this down too, which I know we'll talk about on Tuesday?
So, Grok's for, hold on a second here. You gotta go, you gotta go. I've got my sidekick assistant and teammate here with me.
Our future AI genius there. He's going to
I
be crushing it with a dad like you.
It's right, my future AI genius. So we're going to look at Perplexity's comment browser, but let's jump right to Grok because Grok is interesting. So Grok 4 came out. First of all, there was a bit of news, let's call it. And my conjecture is that there was negative press about Grok just hours before the release of Grok 4. And the negative press, if you read it, was actually about the previous model. And I always wonder when it comes to Elon if he's not well aware that bad news spreads faster. And that if you make some bad news and it spreads super fast, the world knows about your thing, which is the release of Grok 4. And the claim with Grok 4 is it's the smartest ever, 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 ever. So if we get into Grok, I want Grok 4. Maybe they've changed the way in. Try Grok. I should be signed in. I'm wondering why. Here we go. So this is Grok 3, right? The model. And then I've got Grok 4 Expert. So these are brand new tools, David. These came in, I don't know, not even 12 hours ago. So what can Super Grok 4 do?
Can you help me, Daddy?
Listen, I'm working. You have to let me work, please. Listen, I'm working. You have to let me work. Thank you. Um, ladies and gentlemen, this is a live podcast.
He was here.
I know
Hey,
you want.
Teddy.
Let me work. Thank you. That's my fella. Um, so Grok 4, while that works here, what is new with actually I've got it over here. Um, Grok 4. They're saying that there's different benchmarks. I swear, David, every time I see these benchmarks, I think they made it up just for the new tool. But I think some people have been following along with the same benchmark, calling it humanity's last exam. So it's important to notice these last two columns, the brown and orange tan colors at the end here. Grok 4 and Grok 4 Heavy. So Grok 4 is what you get if you're a member of Grok. Grok 4 Heavy is if you pay, I think, $300 a month. So that's if you're in a commercial enterprise, business, organization, and you want to spend $300 a month. It's a heavy price for an individual unless you're really getting value out of it.
Right. And then Grok 4, like if you're a Premium X member, do you get that? Or do you
Yeah,
have to buy a
in
separate?
advance of Grok 4, like 4 days ago or something, I got the Grok Premium just to try this out.
Got
So it thought for 57 seconds, and this tells you um, it's browsing for updates, exploring features. Grok itself reports that Super Grok 4 combines XAI's premium subscription tier with access to Grok 4, the company's latest and most advanced model, positioning it as a powerhouse for reasoning, creation, and problem solving. So here's the difference right there, is that the claim is that it's going to be reasoning. A lot of the other language models have been accused of parroting. So it just goes and reflects back whatever is there. I believe the claim is that they've programmed into Grok some ability to use what humans call reasoning. And then you're going to create things. We're familiar with that by now. And then real world problem solving. These are the leaps that people claim Grok is making, is that it's not just coming back with, how many R's are in strawberry. It's going to be able to make a meaningful impact on what you're doing versus the old models. So you could see the gray ones are ChatGPT on this humanities last exam test, scored about a 20%.
Daddy.
Okay, you gotta let me, please.
Hey, buddy.
Gotta let Daddy.
Wanna play?
We've got a special guest named Teddy.
We wanna play.
You want to play with me? Let me work, and then I'll be done. Let me work, and I'll be done. Okay. Thank you. It's summertime, and we're learning about Super Grok 4. So ChatGPT and Gemini from Google score about a 20% on this test, and Grok 4 without tools. That's the important thing to look at, is Grok 4 without tools goes from 20 or 21 to 25. So you're looking at a 5% jump. And then what are these here using the tools? O3 and Gemini 2.5 Pro with tools, they jump up a few points, but Grok 4 with tools almost doubles the results of what's seemingly the number one benchmark, or at least one of the top benchmarks. So the claim is that it's better than PhD levels in every subject and delivers a state-of-the-art capability. So it's a single agent AI that has voice, vision, and a big context window. And then the the $300 subscription, has multiple agents for complex tasks. So we've explored Manus with agents. We've explored GenSpark with agents, things like N8N. And they're claiming that they're going to be that much better. You can get your API so you can connect it with your business. And they're saying that this is a challenger to the heavyweights, that they're using the power of this Colossus supercomputer, and they're pushing the limits of what can be done with AI. So you're going to see advanced reasoning and problem solving, coding and development, multimodal input and output, voice enhancements, real-time data and tools. To me, David, that's the big thing. The big thing is that XAI is a source of real-time information. There are millions and millions of people who every day, every hour, every minute are texting back and forth live updates on traffic, on a forest fire, on the birth of their baby, on who voted in what election, on what the sports score is. There is a never-ending, constant, micro-minute, microsecond feed of information. And because Twitter became X and Grok are the same company, you're getting a language model that has language of like literally up to the second.
Amazing.
It is amazing. I think it's hard to fathom that the planet is hyper connected down to like 4 seconds ago of what's real and what's happening. And I think that's the benefit of Super Grok. Now, the caution is that in the news, it was like, oh my goodness, the results from the previous model of Grok said things that were awful, right? There's no excuse for the political skewed, hateful comments that were made by the Grok machine. I don't have anything to do with that. They claim it was a previous employee that made a bad faith programming. I don't know what I think about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Interesting. I haven't read too. I mean, I saw obviously some of the highlights, but yeah, that was horrible. Was it done just for PR? I mean, that would be very bad taste to go there, but who knows?
it would be, and I can speculate all day, but I don't know that we'll ever know the truth.
Right.
So it doesn't matter.
No,
It
exactly.
doesn't matter. So
And
look. Go for it.
Let me just add too, like you mentioned agents. I know we're going to talk about agents, you and Brooks at the summit on Tuesday, but it's like, it was two agent, it's like, should I do N8M or should I do, MCP? Now it seems like there's so many options for agents. Now, once I'm going to implement agents, I've got 100 things to choose from, and I got to catch up on that. So anyway, thank God we've got these shows going, and there's just so much other great info out there to track.
Yeah. Yeah. If I sort just in the past 24 hours, AI agents, I'm getting Forbes, the Financial Post, the Register, the Wise Marketer, the rise of agents, what are agents, sky high return on investment, the streamlining of the building of them, graphic power, GPU powered services, the Globe and Mail, Forrester, like you're getting a lot of results,
Yeah,
from AI agents. That's just in the last 24 hours. If I checked even in the last hour, if I just said in the last hour, right? There's lots of articles. So people are talking about this all the time. AI agents are big. What else is big is the browser. And the reason the browser is worth note is because the way people advertise their business in the last 25 years has primarily been through print media, radio, television, and online. And the ratio changes depending on the industry, but a great number of people rely almost entirely on internet advertisement. They market and advertise on the internet. And we do that through our browser, whether it was the Apple browser or the Google browser or any other browser. You like open up a rectangle on your device and you look at what you're looking at. So when businesses launched online, they put out information so that that search engine and that browser would show people their ads, right? It's a commerce driven platform. If we didn't have commercial enterprises paying money, most all of the internet wouldn't be there, right? Very, very, very few institutions would have funded any of this. So the business drives everything that you enjoy on the internet for the most part, right? Platforms like Instagram and TikTok and Twitter wouldn't be there unless there was commerce behind it, right? So
true.
even user generated content happens because there's business behind it. So Perplexity, one of the large language models, is making an internet browser. And what the internet browser is going to do is not just compete with the other internet browsers, it's going to compete with Google's business model. So what they're saying is by using our way of looking at the internet, you're not going to be doing what Google's doing, right? And so they believe that the web is a superpower. They're going to connect curious minds. They're going to simplify everything for you. What's really going to happen is, I think the big guys are going to shift their model. They're going to shift their model to whatever works from the smaller guys. So I know OpenAI is looking getting a browser, OpenAI browser here. So there's going to be an OpenAI web browser to challenge Google Chrome, right? And
Right.
these things matter. Like I think if you look at the Google stock price, I think we can get the year to date, right? So we can see the dip from almost 200, a high of 200 or so, and then it dips way down to 150. So at one point it lost like a quarter of its value,
Wow.
right? And if I look at the 5 year trend, the 5 year trend is growing, right? But these dips, they happen in lockstep with the rise of the features of ChatGPT, of Claude, of Perplexity. And I know that the value of Google shifted the exact percentage that like large language model searches rose. So when people started using their large language model for searching, like I don't go to Google to look for that, pizza place around the corner, are they open? I went to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. And if it went 5% increase in large language model searches, the price of Google stock went down that exact 5%. And I could be misquoting it, but I think I'm quoting it accurately. So what you're going to see is the world's largest trillion-dollar and multi-trillion-dollar companies, their stock price starts to fluctuate um, at a greater rate. There weren't that many peaks and troughs in this gradual rise, right? And then with the start of these AI tools, you see bigger and shorter cycles of rise and fall. So that's the value of understanding that these companies are going to do this. It's not that they're going to knock Google off their pedestal, it's that they're going to shift the market temporarily. I mean, at least that's my viewpoint, David. Do you have a thought on that? Do you think the market will shift or just be a little bit more volatile?
I think there's a lot of new business models being sorted out, right? I think Google has a ton of things in the tank that they're just starting to roll out now, right? Because when you do a Google search, do you want to search on Gemini? So I feel like they've been kind of waiting for people to get almost AI ready and letting a lot of the competitors educate the market. But then as people come back to Google, right? I mean, because we've spoken about Gemini lately, right? And the Gemini deep search. And I think as they can kind of start moving people over, that's going to really help them grow and expand. So I think Google's kind of just in the wait. I know web search, there's people are concerned about that, but I think it's just going to be such an interesting next year, right? I would say next few years, but you can't even think in multi-year time now because things are happening so quickly.
Yeah, I think when I look at what we talked about today, the one thing that stood out for me is that Elon and XAI and Grok have the world's most powerful AI supercomputer that they're that's what they say, right? And they're calling it Colossus. To me, that's the difference maker because when you have human beings who are computer coders, they can go from company to company, regardless of what you say, non-disclosures and contracts. Let's face it, people talk, people share secrets, people go and share the recipe across the desk, or they wink or they nod or they rub their nose and say, you know it. When someone says, did you guys use this very particular theorem? And someone could pinch their ear and say, gosh, my lawyer would tell me not to say anything. Um, there's ways that people at that level communicate what you might call corporate secrets. Um, thankfully, I'm not in the position where I know those or have to worry about that stuff. But I'm certain if you know the history of modern business and technology, there's there's all kinds of cases where people move from company to company, and gosh darn it, didn't that company all of a sudden surge in a similar way months later? So there's no saying that the Google secret, the Claude secret or the Perplexity secret or the OpenAI secret is safe because we've seen in the news these $100 million bonuses for people moving companies. What they're really trying to do is say, can I get some buzz? Can I get some headlines? And can I get the secret sauce? Can I get that person who knows how to do something? But there doesn't seem to be a real competitive advantage to any of them because they all seem to move at the same pace, right? They seem to release 2.5 and 3 and 4 and 5 all at the same time. This Colossus supercomputer might be the only advantage, but Grok has its disadvantages. It has a bad reputation, it has negative press, people say it's biased. So buyer beware. That the latest I think is to continually be aware of what is and isn't for you.
Totally.
But what is for us, though, David, is to talk about video. And I know you know a lot about this because you're working with Evan B. Stone for your joint project, Stone AI.
Right, with Stone AI. So before I jump to that, I just want to 2 points. Just let me share my screen real quick. So one is you mentioned it, right? So we do see Meta poached to Apple, the guy head of Apple Foundation models for 200 million. I don't know if you saw that story that came out recently.
I did, and then I never am certain if I believe anything close to that. I get that there's a news article.
Right, and there was the 100 million rumor, and then those guys I think came out and said, well, it's 30 to 50 million, but whatever, it's a ton of money. And then I don't know if you saw this, but Scott Alberts shared this with me, which is the world's first agentic browser.
Mm.
I'm going to join the wait list now. Um, but interesting, right? It's all right, I'm going to do that later. Anyway, right, but now we're starting to see agent driven browsers. And we haven't really seen a reinvention of the browser since Netscape came out, right? I mean, Chrome's certainly done interesting things, but it's still the same type of thing.
Yeah,
So it will be interesting.
ARC is a little different, ARC,
Yeah,
but
art is different for sure, but I don't think it's caught ground as much. And maybe I need to jump in and use it because that's just one I've been talking about for a while, but I have not even downloaded it. So
the big impact for people that aren't tech heavy or computer savvy is that anyone whose current business relies on internet traffic, and you're like, I don't know, years ago we paid someone and we put up our address and our phone number and what we do, and none of that has changed. So I don't like if you own a flower shop and you're just like, well, same flower shop, same flowers as 1,000 years ago. You say there's no reason to change like the nuts and bolts of the website. You might update for Mother's Day or for Valentine's Day or for Christmas. The way these web browsers are changing and the way these search engines are changing and the way the language models are changing, the impact for anyone who wants internet traffic is big because the way that the internet shows you to people and the way they find you is shifting. And that's the latest is that you have to be aware if your internet traffic starts to change that it could be because of these things. So if all of a sudden you say, gosh, we're down 5% or we're down 7% from what we used to be, consider looking into a web development expert or take a course, go to the AI catch up and learn about how you might be able to do that yourself for you or for your team or for your organization. But let's talk about video models because David, I keep seeing video models that are like consistent characters. And then you and Evan have done something really amazing. So you're dealing with Hollywood studios. You are Evan is a tried and true Hollywood professional, cutting edge, top of his game, and he's got something revolutionary.
totally. And we did just get our first TV show that we're excited about on the History Channel, right? So I think reenactments and things like that are really great to do. The IP tracking piece that we have, and we'll talk more about that next week. But here, let me play a short video about some of the things that are possible now. That's cool.
Let me show you something. Let me tour you through my world. I'm a storyteller. You use modern filmmaking tools to bring ideas to life. Not with a big crew, not with any crew, just me. Whatever I think, whatever I imagine, I make it real. From sci-fi fantasies to high-end fashion, from hyper-realistic visuals to memes that break the internet. This is what I do. I create. For over 2 million followers across social media, I build stories, shape worlds, I make things move. How? I leverage the tools. I bend them to my will. And this isn't just AI. This is something bigger. This is the new frontier of filmmaking. There's a war going on. Get ready. It's not editing for me. It's not thinking for me. It's not replacing me. It's amplifying me. This is the shift. No more big budget gatekeepers. No more waiting for permission. Now, it's people like you and me telling stories. Dreaming bigger. Creating faster.
Underneath the waves so deep.
Everything you see here, it's how I feel, how I think, it's how I see the world. And now, you can see it too. This isn't just pressing a button. This is crafting a narrative. This is storytelling at full throttle. The range from first idea to final cut. From meeting a client to delivering a masterpiece. From a thought in my head to something that exists forever. Time, money, creativity. These three things hold content creators back. Not anymore. How? I make the rules. I control the output. And I'm just getting started.
Pretty cool, right? I think and so many of these tools, the Soras, the VO, one just came out yesterday, this Moon Valley. I don't know if you saw this, Brad, if it was on your radar.
Let's have a look.
These are some
There's wild new stuff. Show us Moon Valley, or this is it.
right, this is it. So Moon Valley is, so they say they basically created fully licensed, commercially safe. So they trained it from zero from licensed content. Haven't looked too deep into it. They would be, look, we sit on top of these things, so we want everybody to push the boundaries with this stuff, so we could put our system under it.
This is what I saw yesterday. Those 4 people with their teeth, that you can film yourself saying something, and then the software will match your mouth movements, but it will change the color and look and shape of the character.
Right.
So essentially, you can make the play moving your hands around and moving your body, and then transform it into the consistent image.
Totally. And then, what I always like to do with these AI companies, is just look at who founded them, where did they come from, right? DeepMind, Google research.
Yeah. Well, it's just like we said a few minutes ago. These people are going from one company to the next, and they're bringing experience and knowledge, whether or not they're breaching contracts or non-disclosures. I was being very glib, but I think it's safe to say that they're bringing that experience with them, whether they know it or not.
Right. And then a lot of things, in California, I mean, I used to have to move people from Washington to California and then give them the offer, right? Because you couldn't, just because some things are legal in California or other states that aren't legal as far as competition and things like that. I always wrote in the offer letter, that we just want the people for their brilliance and everything else. We don't want them to bring anything, but when they have the experience of building different models, that's what makes them up. Now,
it's just like in sports. When sports players move teams, they know the plays of the other team. And you want their sports playing ability, but they know what the other guy's doing.
Right. And I think what that's going to do in just such a now micro world we live in, and by micro world, I just mean things moving so quickly, it's now going to create pushing of technology.
Can you go to the link I put in the chat? Because you mentioned this, or maybe Michael mentioned this, because you've got the screen share open. This is exactly what you're saying, is pushing the edges of technology. It's the same video platforms. And like you said, Stone AI rests on the power of these softwares. And the value of using Stone AI is that you're not one proprietary software. You are legacy media that knows how to maximize these things.
Right. I mean, it is crazy that, it's the brilliance of Evan being 30 years, editor, filmmaker, crazy, cameraman, and getting different shots, to then just our security tracking IP stuff. Now, is this the video Michael was talking about?
Yeah, this is consistent character. So they're calling it Soul ID, and this came out, if you can see it there, 12 hours ago or 16 hours ago. Right, so it's certainly
let's blow this up.
Yeah.
Here, let's. is
wow,
cool.
right? So what I saw in that very hyperkinetic, fast-paced cut video was a real person took 12 photographs of themselves, looked like a grid of 12. They created that avatar from it, and after that little grid photo, all the other images were AI generated. The cold, the hot, the night, the day, the indoor, the outdoor, the poses, the movements, all AI generated. And I think most people 18 to 36 have 12 photos of themselves without even thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is. So, and I'm not even certain that that's that expensive of a software. If I look at pricing on the Higgsfield website right now, um, and I could share that with you guys real quick. You can try it for free. I don't know that you get sole ID with it, but if I go monthly, if you just want to do 1 month, you can try it for $9. And for
Amazing.
$19, you can do that sole in paint. So I think for $20, you could try it. So for anybody that has some need for some social media, you might do a year's worth in a month for $20. Like, like it's unfathomable to think you're going to do a year's worth of top quality social media for $20.
Crazy, right? I mean, yeah. And again, we just approached now the first half of was our second show
Yeah,
after into the second quarter or the third quarter of the year, second half of the year.
yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. We do have tomorrow the Link SV session. So we're going to look back at the first half of the year and see where all the money's going and investment. There
Yeah.
are some things out there that just haven't been on the radar as much.
That's your
Because there's so many,
Silicon Valley update.
right, right. So I just think there's so many sleeping giants out there, like Grok with the Q,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I know has been working on major deals with the biggest data centers in the world, and they have new silicon that really helps the energy issue.
Mhm.
Um,
So
right, and then just what else is
yeah, it's such a fresh new frontier that continues to evolve. For anybody that says they have political issues with Grok, be aware that your competitor might not, and they might use it. For people where
right,
it matters, you should be aware of what it does and doesn't do, and if there's a gap there. And then for agents, if you're not putting in at least as a business, at least $1,000 into effort of saying like, let's put $1,000 into labor and budget and see if these agents can do something for us, it's almost certain in most businesses that $1,000 will return you more. Right? Like
right,
using an agent in some business context is going to return you. I mean, if people are worth $50 an hour, you're going to get $20 or $20 20 hours worth out of using these agents. If you have a team of people and there's 20 people, you're going to save 1 hour each per person by doing this. And what I've seen, David, other people do when I spoke at the conference in Toronto earlier this year, the one person was saying they they made a small budget and the money they saved became their next budget for the next project. So they said, just give us a really small team and a really small budget. And with that small team and small budget, we'll save $5,000. And then give me that $5,000. And then with that $5,000, I'll try to save you 10 or 20 or 50 or 100. And he said, with that principle, they've exploded. And for people who say, how do I even start? Reach out to David, reach out to me, and we'll get you started. We have people, we have courses, we have ways of connecting you with software developers or with AI people like Chris Cade from Sasbury, people who have used Microsoft, they've used Apple, they've used Google, they've used whichever tools that your company uses. People like Brooks, and they can give you a quote or can get you on the road to being part of the AI world because AI agents are here. They're not coming, they're here. The way that the large language models have disrupted the browser and they've disrupted search engine optimization, that's not a soon or a coming, it's now. So I'm enjoying bringing people the latest, David. I think we should do episode 34 next week. What do you think?
we will do it for sure. You're out of town next week. We will do it you'll do it from the road.
I'll do it remote.
Okay, good. And we
I'll
do
have a different
have
background, but it'll be the same
Right.
latest
that's
news.
all good. And then props. By the way, Freddie showed me the deck you worked with him on with Beautiful.ai. He said
Yeah.
I haven't, so I think I have to go back to that. Just another example of how things are.
I still like Gamma. I also like Beautiful. There are different purposes, there are different softwares. I mean, there's so much that's the latest. We could do an hour every day, it seems, of the latest.
I love it. Well, thanks everybody for being here. We have the summit next week. Brad will be speaking. Pretty much everybody that's on the AI catch up. We've got amazing speakers from Lockheed Martin, from Raymond Hagerty. We're going to talk all about IP with what the latest is with that, which we should maybe even have him as a special guest on the latest. Brad, I like that, right?
Good. I like
'Cause,
Raymond. Yeah, that would be good.
yeah. All right, good. Well, have a great week, everybody. Brad, we will